Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today's lecture is the continuation of the previous lecture, lecture number 5, leveling. So first of all, we shall go through the summary of the previous lecture, and then we shall proceed towards the today's lecture. So I think you all know this figure. We have discussed in much detail in the last lecture, and the relevant terms that are mentioned over here. We had a detailed discussion of all the terms as mentioned here. These were the most important definitions that we have discussed in previous lectures. This one is datum, benchmark and its types, the elevation, line of collimation, height of the instrument, back, intermediate and foresights, change point, types of leveling equipment, and types of stops. We have discussed in detail all these terms. Then we discussed the classification of leveling. These all were the classifications of leveling. Okay, I am going to remind you only 2 to 3 types that will be discussed in today's lecture. First one is the differential leveling. This was the example we solved in the last lecture, that how the back, fore and intermediate sides were taken, and using the height of instrument and rise and fall method, how we calculated the reduced level of the surface profile. So that was the differential leveling, in which we tend to move the instrument from one location to some other location due to any factor. That is the differential leveling elevation, and here you can see it is the plan view of the differential leveling. With the point A where the staff is held, point L1 is the first position of the instrument, L2 is the position of the instrument after changing its location. Similarly, L3, CP is the change point, E1, E2 are the corners of the building. So the most important point I am here to tell you that these points L1, L2, L3 are indicating the position of the instrument. Okay, first position is L1, then we change the position of the instrument L2 and then L3. You can see that all 3 points are not exactly in the same line. Okay, these 3 points are at some random position. You can fix your instrument at any random position you want. Okay, this is the definition of longitudinal leveling. This is the longitudinal leveling. Staff was held at different points where the reduced levels we want to calculate. Okay, this is the plan view of the same scheme as shown in this above figure, and this is the profile, or you can say sectional view. We discussed in previous lecture that the profile leveling, as an example of canal slope, there are 2 lines are mentioned here. First one is the black solid line, which is indicating the existing ground profile, and the red line is indicating the proposed canal bed slope, which is actually a proposed line, formation line. We have also discussed that black line is used to express the existing condition of the ground, or you can say before the construction, and the red line indicating that after the construction this surface profile will be achieved. Okay, so for that purpose we have to fill this depression, and we have to cut this extra portion of the earthen material, which can be soil or any material. So that was the longitudinal or longitudinal or profile leveling. This is how we draw the figure and express the elevation or cross-sectional view of the profile leveling. Next was the cross-sectional leveling. This is the plan view of the cross-sectional leveling. There is a slight difference between the profile and cross-sectional leveling. Profile leveling is in the alignment of the in the direction of length, you can say. If any project like road or canal or sewerage line or water supply scheme, these are the examples of the projects in which the length, or you can say the longitudinal direction, is much more greater than the other two dimensions. So that is, in that case, we use the term longitudinal leveling along the length. Okay, here you can see as the center line, we can say that the leveling performed at the center line will be profile or longitudinal leveling. So along this profile leveling, or you can say along this longitudinal line, central line, we also take the different levels perpendicular to the longitudinal line. Okay, this is the center line, is the longitudinal line. Here you can see the dashed portions are indicating that you held the staff at all the dashed portion one by one and take the readings and calculate the reduced levels of all these dashed portions. Okay, first of all, at point A, the leveling staff will be held exactly at the center. It will be the first reading. Then we move towards the second reading. Over here we held the staff right here. Okay, it will be a second reading, similarly the third reading and the fourth reading. Then we move towards the other side of the road. It will be the fifth reading, sixth and seventh reading. So you can see at a single station A, to perform cross-sectional leveling, at a single station you have to take a number of readings. Okay, at the left and the right side to the center line. Now this red dot and number 1, similarly red dot and number 2, these are indicating the first and second position of your leveling equipment. The instrument was first set at a tripod stand at position 1, and then you can see at position 1, when the tripod and leveling station was set, we took the number of readings at station A, 0 chainage, then 7 readings at 20 chainage, 7 readings at 40 chainage, similarly at 60 and 80 chainage. Then we move toward the second position indicated by the red dot and number 2. We took again the 7 readings at point 0, 20, 40 and 60. This is how we proceed in the cross-sectional leveling. So to perform a complete survey of a road or any longitudinal project, you can say, in that case we have to perform the longitudinal as well as cross-sectional leveling of the same area. Then we can call it a complete survey. This was the example of cross-sectional leveling. Two methods were discussed, the height of collimation method and rise and fall method. We solved a single example by both of these methods one by one in the previous lecture. This was the table of height of collimation method and rise and fall method. So these were the common errors in the previous lecture: instrumental, natural, personal errors, mistakes, reducing errors and elimination of mistakes. Okay, this was the example. We solved this example by height of instrument and rise and fall method in the previous lecture. We have discussed it in detail. Okay, this was the table drawn for the previous example, by height of instrument method, and this was the table drawn for rise and fall method. So from here we continue our today's lecture. We are going to solve another example of the leveling. This is the example of profile leveling. Okay, it is a project of construction of a road. Before the construction, we want to perform the leveling of that area. Okay, let's start. The problem statement says the following consecutive readings were taken and at continuously slopy ground at a regular interval of 30 meters. These are the staff readings. Okay, at first point we named it as A. Reading was 0.585. Similarly, at second point, leveling staff was held and the reading taken was 0.936. This is indicating the reading taken by holding the leveling staff. At third point, 1.953. Similarly, fourth reading, fifth, sixth, 7, 8, up to the last reading, which we named the station as B. Reading was 3.016. So all of these are staff readings. Now the elevation of station A was 520.450 meters. It means it is a benchmark whose elevation is already known to you. The instrument position was changed after 6th and 11th reading. Use height of instrument method to calculate the gradient AB. Horizontal distance between stations A and B was measured as 330 meters. Okay, in this question, readings are given to you. Elevation of the first point, which is actually the reduced level of point A, is also given. Another information is also given that after 6th and 11th reading, the position of the instrument was changed. Okay, it means 6th and 11th reading points are change points. We have to calculate the gradient of AB. Whereas a horizontal distance between first and last point is also given, which is 330 meters. So let us proceed with the calculations. This is the table to find the reduced levels using height of instrument method, just like the previous example. So this is the information given to us. At station A, the chainage is 0 because it is a starting point where the reduced level is also given. 520.450. It is a benchmark. So let us proceed with the calculation. The first reading given is 0.585. You have already know that the first reading is always taken as backside reading. This backside reading is how we get it. We just place the leveling staff at station A, whose reduced level is already known to us. Then we read the reading by using some leveling equipment. In that case, we got the value 0.585. Similarly, second reading was 0.936, third was 1.953, fourth was 2.846, and fifth was 3.644. Now, it is given in the question that after the sixth reading, the position of the level was changed, which means sixth reading must be entered in the foresight column, because after foresight reading, the position of the equipment is being changed and the next reading taken will be entered automatically in the backside reading column. So this was the sixth reading, which was 3.938. Now the seventh reading, 0.962, is written in backside column. Similarly, other three readings are entered in intermediate side column. And in the question, it is given that after 11th reading, the position of the instrument was changed. So this is the 11th reading that must be entered in foresight column. 0.956 is the 12th reading, which is written in backside column. 13th and 14th reading. The last reading should always be entered in foresight column. Okay, it is representing the end of the calculation work. So that is the method to enter all the values in the respective columns. Now the change is given, the information given to us in the statement is that after regular interval of 30 meters, all the staff readings were taken. So it means the distance between the first and second reading was 30 meters. The distance between the second and third staff reading was 60 meters, and so on. Okay, at 330 meters we have given that it is the last point of the it is the last reading, which is indicating the station B. Okay. Now this is the point of importance. We call it as change point, where after taking the foresight reading without distorting the or changing the position of the leveling staff, we just change the position of leveling instrument. Okay, so whenever foresight and backsight are written opposite to each other in the field book or in any entry book, so it represents the change point and changing of the position of our instrument station. We name it as point I1, which is indicating the intermediate point somewhere between A and B, which were our main station. Similarly, I2 is the second position of the instrument after changing. This is the change point again, and the last station as B station. Now we are going to calculate the reduced levels of all the remaining entries. Because we are proceeding by the height of instrument method, so first to calculate the reduced level, we first have to find the height of instrument. Remember, whenever we are changing the position of the leveling instrument, we must recalculate the height of instrument. So let us start from this. First, calculate the height of instrument. The formula is also written for your convenience. Just add the backside into the reduced level and you will get the height of instrument. 520.450 plus backside, which is 0.585, and we will get 521.053. So once we got the value of height of instrument, it is very easy to calculate the reduced levels. Okay, what is the formula? Just subtract this value taken from the leveling staff from the height of instrument and you will get the reduced level. How this value comes? 521.035 minus this staff reading 0.936 and we get 520.099. Similarly, 521.035 minus 1.953 and we will get the 519.082 value, and similarly we proceed our calculations up to 517.097. Okay. Now this is the change point and we have changed the position of the instrument. Now we must recalculate the value of height of instrument to proceed. Again the same procedure should be repeated. 517.097 plus 0.962. Okay, this is as per this formula, and we will get the height of instrument 518.059. Now again the next readings one by one should be subtracted from this height of instrument to get other reduced levels as well. Similarly, for the third set of readings, the same procedure should be followed. First height of instrument is calculated and then reduced levels are calculated. Okay, so these are the steps that should be followed to calculate the reduced levels. Now arithmetic check must be applied to calculate to check our calculations, either we encounter some error or not. So the summation of backside readings is 2.503, summation of foresight readings is equal to 10.793, taking the difference of the both, and we get the value of minus 8.295. Similarly, last reduced level minus first reduced level, that is also coming as minus 8.295. So you can see that both of these values are equal. So arithmetic check is okay, or calculation work is absolutely fine. We don't have to repeat any reading procedure. Now the last thing that is required in the question is that we must calculate the gradient between the two lines A and B. So simply, what is the gradient? Gradient is actually the rate of change of elevation between the 2 points. Okay. Using our calculations, we just calculated that the reduced levels of A is 520.450 meter and reduced level of point B is 512.155 meter. We just calculated the value of reduced level of point B. So the horizontal distance between the 2 points is already given in the question, that is 330 meters. Fine. We want to calculate the gradient or the slope between the 2 points. First of all, we should know the vertical distance between the two. So B minus A will give you the vertical distance. Simply, we can say that gradient is equal to y over x, or rise over run, vertical value over horizontal value. So by entering the values, we get 8.295, which is equal to B minus A. Okay, just taking the difference between the elevation of A and B, we get the value of minus 8.295 B minus A over 330, which is equal to 1.39.77. The negative sign here indicating that the gradient is downward, which is a falling gradient. Okay. Now gradient is equal to, we can say, using this ratio 1 over 39.77, we approximate that the gradient is 1 in 40, which means if you move 40 units horizontal, you will be rise by 1 unit vertical. Okay, that's what the gradient means. It is 2.5%, negative sign is indicating that this is down gradient or downward falling gradient. So this is how we calculate the gradient by using reduced levels. Now the question will be completed when you draw the surface profile diagram by yourself. Okay, the complete question is that you must sketch the surface profile diagram by using all the reduced levels you have just calculated. Okay. Now the next example is about the profile leveling. In this example, we shall see that how the earthwork quantities are calculated, how the cut and fill quantities are calculated using the leveling procedure. So let's start. It says that a plus 2.5 gradient is to be provided at 20 feet regular intervals along a hilly area. Natural profile is to be plotted with the help of staff readings as listed below. 1.93 is the first reading, 1.76, 1.39, all these are staff readings taken. Benchmark and formation level of the first points are given to us. 95.6 feet benchmark and 95 feet is the first formation level respectively. Instrument needs to be shifted after 4th and 8th readings. By applying checks and we will calculate the values of cut and fill. Okay, so this is the overall question. Now we shall see that how we can calculate the cut and fill quantities using the leveling procedure. In this question it is not mentioned that what method you must adopt. So whenever it is not mentioned that which method you must choose, so you have the flexibility to choose any method. So here I am selecting the rise and fall method to calculate the quantities. This is a table for rise and fall method. Let's start by entering the given data. That is, we are naming the first station as point A, and the chainage is 0 plus 0 0 chainage at the first point. It is a benchmark whose reduced level is known to us, which is 95.6. This value is in feet. Okay. Now start entering the readings taken by the leveling staff. The first reading taken by the leveling staff will automatically be entered in backside column, which was 1.93. Okay. The information is given that the leveling instrument position is being changed after 4th and 8th readings. So 4th reading must be in foresight column over here. Okay. Similarly, the 5th reading is written in 3.21 in backside column. Again, intermediate sides. This one is 8th reading, which is written in foresight column. 9th reading will be backside. All the remaining values except the last reading must be entered in intermediate sides, and the last reading is in foresight reading column. Okay. Now come towards the chainage. It is given that 20 feet regular interval of chainage is selected, which means that all the readings are taken by the staff, and the points are at 20 feet distance to each other. Okay. So this would be the overall chainage at 20 feet regular interval. Mention the change points and the substation I1, I2, CP, and the main last station is B. You can change the name. If names are not mentioned in the statement, you can choose any letter you want. These are the main stations and these are the substations. You can also name all these blank cells. You can also suggest any name as you like. So now come towards the rise and fall calculation. So if you remember how we calculate the rise and fall, just take the difference between the two readings. If the reading comes with the plus sign, it will automatically be entered in plus rise column, and if the reading answer is in with minus sign, it will automatically be entered in minus fall column. So how we did that in last lecture, just reminding you, we take the difference between these two readings, 1.93 minus 1.76. The answer will be plus 0.170. Due to its plus sign, we entered it in rise column. Okay. Similarly, taking the difference between these two readings, 1.76 minus 1.39, the answer is plus 0.370. Again, taking the difference between two readings, 1.39 minus 0.19, it is with the plus sign, and we entered it there. Okay. And for the next reading, we take the difference between this back side and intermediate side. It will be plus 0.830. Again, these two readings and the difference of these two readings. Okay. So after taking the difference between these two readings, 2.38 and 1.32, we got the value of plus 1.060 as rise. When we take the difference between intermediate and foresight, 1.32 and 2.40, it will give you the answer in minus value minus 1.080. So rather mentioning the minus sign with this value, we just enter it with the positive sign in the fall column. It is understood that all the fall values are with the negative sign. So it is not necessary that you must mention all the minus signs with all the quantities that are entered in fall column. Again, by repeating the same procedure, taking difference between two values, we have calculated all these values of rise and fall. Okay. Now calculating the reduced levels using rise and fall. How we calculate the reduced value? This is the benchmark value 95.6, which is already given to you. We just have to plus or minus the value of rise or fall into this previous reduced level, and we will get the reduced level of the next point. For doing this, just add the value of rise 0.170 into reduced level 95.6, and we will get the value of 95.770. Now 95.770 plus 0.370, we will get the value of 96.140. Similarly, for all these values up to this value 99.230. From here, what we have to do, 99.230 minus 1.080. I am subtracting now because it is the fall value which is with the negative sign. So we will get the value of 98.150, and similarly 97.5. Again, rise values should be added in the previous reduced levels, and in this manner we just calculated all the reduced levels for all the chainage points at which the leveling staff was placed. Okay, now it's time to apply the arithmetical check. So first, summation of backside should be calculated. It is 9.345 in our case, and summation of FS is 3.945. By taking the difference, we are having the value of 5.4. Now last reduced level minus first reduced level is equal to 5.4. All the values are, these two values are equal, 5.4, so there is no arithmetical error, which means all the readings are taken in the site are correct. Coming to the next slide, up to this we have calculated the reduced levels by using rise and fall method. Now it's time to calculate cut and fill quantities using reduced levels. So how we proceed? This is the column of formation line. Formation line, as I have discussed earlier, that formation line is indicating, it is the proposed line that after the construction, how the surface profile should be look like. Okay, it is always a smooth line, either in up gradient or low gradient or both. First up and then low gradient, or first downward and then upward gradient. It can be any case, but it should be remembered that formation line is always a smooth line. It is changing at some constant rate of gradient. Okay, in our question it is given that rate of change of gradient is plus 2.5%, which means that 2.5% gradient upward. Okay, the point of first gradient is also given, first point of formation line is also given in the question. It is the choice of the designer or the engineer to select any formation line first point. Okay, the gradient is also decided by the designer or the engineer. For example, if we are talking about a canal, the level of upstream and downstream is first calculated by the engineer, that what must be the upward or the downward gradient from the first point to the last point. Okay, in the case of canal, the water moves towards the lower point, which is called downstream. So the level of upstream and the downstream is decided by the help of formation line. So coming towards the example, the first point of the formation line is given 95 feet. Okay. In case of survey examples, you will be given only the first point of formation level, and you will be able to calculate all the remaining points of the formation line by yourself. So how to calculate the formation line, points of formation line for the remaining entries? It is very easy. The second point will be calculated as 95.5. How this value comes? Okay, formation line, first point is 95. We just took the information from the question, plus 2.5% gradient is given, which means you should multiply 0.025 with the chainage. Okay, chainage is 20 feet. It means 20 multiplied by 2.5%. I repeat, 20, which is the chainage, multiplied by the given gradient. In our case, it is 2.5%. So 2.5 multiplied by 20 is equal to 0.5. So we just add 0.5 in the first formation level. Why we added? Because it is the positive gradient, upward gradient. That is why we add 0.5 in previous formation level. Similarly, 0.5 is added in all the previous entries to get the new entry. So it is starting from 95 and ending at 101 feet. This is how the formation line is established. We shall see it in the graph in the next slide. Now it's time to calculate the value of cut and fill. It is very easy to calculate the value of cut and fill using formation line and reduce level. Once you got the value of formation level, just subtract reduce level from the formation line. Formation line minus reduce level is equal to cut or fill. For example, the first value is 95 minus 95.6. The answer will be minus 0.6. So if you are getting the value with the minus sign, you will enter the value in cut column. It is similar to the rise and fall. As you calculated, all the positive values are entered in the rise column, and the values with the negative one are entered in the fall column. Similarly, if the answer is coming in negative value, okay, you enter that value in cut column, and if the answer is positive, you will enter it in fill column. Again, formation level minus reduce level, it will give you an answer of 0.27 with the minus sign. So all these values that are written in the cut column, they all have the answer with the minus sign. For this value, you can see 98.5 minus 97.5, it is equal to 1, plus 1. That is why we have entered this value in the fill column. Okay, all these values are indicating that answer is in plus sign. So again, this is it with minus sign, and for the last value, the difference of the two values is 0. That is why these two cells are left unfilled. Okay, so now there's time to represent all these values graphically. This is how the table should be made first. These all are the values taken from the previous two slides. Okay, just we mention all these values in this slide. First row is indicating the station or the chainage 0 plus 0, 0, 0 plus 20 up to 2 plus 40. Second row is indicating the reduced level starting from the point 95.6 up to the last point at B, which was 101. Formation line, we calculated the values of different points to form the formation line. Here you can see first point was 95, second was calculated as 95.5, 96, 96.5 up to 101. Using both these values, formation line minus reduced level, we just calculated the values of cutting and filling. Okay. So graphically, how we represent this? This graph will be produced by using this data. In this graph, at x-axis the chainage is taken, which is in feet, starting from the 0, 0 plus 20, 0 plus 40, and the last value is 2 plus 40, which is represented in the graph as 240. At the x-axis, the elevation in feet is given. It is a automatically selected scale. You can also use the manual scale, starting from the 90 and ending at 104. All these values of elevation at y-axis, which are taken in the unit of feet. Now you can see the two lines. One is the blue line and the second is the orange line. Blue line is indicating the points of reduced level, line joining the points of reduced level. Okay, orange line is the line of formation, which is the line obtained by joining the points of formation levels at various points we just calculated. Okay, the orange line is representing the formation line. Here you can see, okay, first you see that for your convenience, all these formation levels are also mentioned with the line. Okay, first point was 95, it is written near to the first point. Second point of the orange line is written as orange text, which was 95.5, then 96, 96.5. Similarly for blue line, which is indicating the reduced levels, the first point is 95.6 feet, as you can cross-check from the table. Second point was 95.77. It is written for your convenience right to the line. Okay. So as you can see, the question statement says that it is the gradient of plus 2.5%. It is verified by the formation line. You can see formation line is exactly a smooth line with a constant upward gradient of 2.5%. Okay. So that is the graph. Using this graph, we can calculate the values of cut and fill. Okay. Now the green text you are looking at, it is representing the cut and the fill portions. Okay, you can see that the upward portion, upward from the formation line, this portion must be cut. Okay, and this is the existing ground profile below the formation line. So this must be filled with some earthen material like soil or any material you want, depending upon the nature of the project. We should fill it by any material, suitable material. Okay, there are two methods to calculate the cut and fill quantity. One is the direct method. You can see that this cut portion is divided into number of triangles and rectangles. So you can individually calculate the areas of these small rectangles and triangles, and then by summing up all these individual areas, you will get the value of cut and fill directly from the graph. One method is that. The other method is to draw the table and calculate the cut and fill quantities, as we are going to do in the next slide. Okay. Now this is the same slide. This half portion is the same slide as the previous, indicating the first column as station, the second column is chainage, the third column is cut, and fourth column is fill. We have already calculated for the first 4 columns. Now fifth and sixth column is the new area of cut and area of fill. Okay, we are going to calculate the cross-sectional area required to cut and required for filling. This is very simple. How we get it? I have written the formula in the main column for your convenience. Cut quantity multiplied by the chainage, and you will get the area of cut. Okay. So chainage is fixed, which is 20 feet. We just multiply 20 by this cut value, and we will get the cross-sectional area of cut as 12. Okay. First method, you can also calculate this value by using the graph directly. Second value is 20 multiplied by 0.27 equal to 5.4 square feet. So all these values are calculated by multiplying the cut value by 20, which is the chainage. Similarly, area of fill, the fill value is multiplied by the chainage to directly give you the cross-sectional area of individual filling portions. By summing up all the entries in the cut column and fill column, we shall get the value of cut and fill. So in our case, it is minus 154 for the cut portion and plus 75.4 for the fill portion. This is indicating that the unit is in cross-sectional area, unit is square feet for cut and fill. So we can also calculate the cut and fill for the volumetric calculations as well. Up to this example, we just calculated the cross-sectional area of cut and fill. So in reality, in the case of 3-dimensional volume, we can also calculate the value of fill and cut for the required volume. Okay. So this was all about today's lecture. I hope you get the lecture. If any question, you can ask later. Thank you.